We want to welcome all of our friends who are watching the Storytelling Festival who aren't here in Jonesboro today. We're streaming live on the internet, which is made possible by the generosity of the Niswonger Foundation. Last year, we had 35,000 folks who tuned in from around the world. Yes. And that was everywhere from Russia to Alaska. And this year, we're excited to hear that some classrooms out there, are hosting live stream parties. So please tell your friends who couldn't be here this weekend or want to know more about what this festival is to tune in throughout the day. Go to storytellingcenter.net and watch the festival with us. We would also like to thank Dollywood Dreammore Resort and Spa for sponsoring our family tent and school day today. We join them in celebrating decades of storytelling traditions in Northeast Tennessee. Now, those of you that have been here before know that there's a litany of announcements, and I will spread them throughout this hour instead of telling you more now. We have two very fine tellers today who are from North Carolina in this set. One whose family has been in North Carolina for well over 2 centuries, and the other whose family has been in North Carolina for well over 2 months. There is nothing wrong with being new to anything, and our first teller is a new voice this year at the National Storytelling Festival. If you've been here before, you know that new voice doesn't mean new to storytelling. It usually just means new to some of us. And Linda Gorham is that teller. She's been telling for 25 years and has a repertoire that includes myth, folktale, family story, and twisted fairy tale, all of which are told with her signature sophisticated attitude. She's surprising, she's musical, she's hip, and if that doesn't entice you, then just wait, because she's coming to the stage right now. Linda Gorham.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I am so happy to be your first teller for this weekend. I am so glad that you're here today. You haven't done your exercises yet, I'm assuming, so a little bit of movement would be okay. Nod your head. Yes, yes. All right. The first story that I have for you is a story that comes from a wonderful teller named Elizabeth Ellis. She calls this story Grandmother Spider. And when I heard her tell it, I said, whoa, that's so cool. Can I tell it? And she said, yeah, you can tell it any way you like. So here goes. Long time ago, they say the earth and the sky were connected really firmly, and that was good, because the people of the earth believed that their ancestors, when they passed away, they went their souls to live in the sky and their spirits. And this was a good thing because the earth and the sky were connected and people felt connected to those who came before them. They told the stories of the old people. They remembered the histories, and most importantly, they tried not to make the same mistakes. But something happened, as it always does. That sky began to pull away from the earth, and when it did, it began to rip and tear. But the worst part is the people started losing their connection to the ancestors. They forgot the stories, they stopped passing along the histories, and the most sad part, they started making the same mistakes. Now, when the sky pulled away, little sky chips started falling onto the ground, and they fell on the backs of Donkey and his family. Now, donkeys aren't real bright, but they thought, whoa, we don't like this. Let's kick them back up. So what happened was the sky chips came down, Donkey and his family kicked those chips back up, and dirt and sand and chips began to fly in the sky. It looked like this. The sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up. That's the first part for you. You thought I was only going to do it myself? No. You haven't exercised yet, I know that. The sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up. 2 more times. The sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up. 1 more. The sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up. You're feeling better, aren't you? I know you are, I know. It made a mess. Dirt, sand, and chips were flying through the air everywhere, and nobody could see a thing. Well, crocodiles, they don't do much. You probably knew this. They swim and eat and swim and eat. They don't do much. This was exciting to them. They saw the dirt and the sand and the chips, and they said, whoa, what's going on? We can't see. But maybe if we roll in the water, some of you have been to audience school, and you know that this is what you do. I'm so proud of you. If we roll in the water and splash some water all around, they said maybe it will settle the dirt and sand and chips and we can see what's going on. So, Crocs rolled in the water, water splashed all around. Now we put the two things together 3 times. Wait, you are experienced festival goers. You know that stories are repeated 3 times, things are repeated 3 times, 7 times, or 12 times. Put things in perspective 3 times. It's not bad, right? It's not. All right, here we go. The sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up, Crocs rolled in the water, water splashed all around. You look awesome. Sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up, Crocs rolled in the water, water splashed all around. One more time. Sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up, Crocs rolled in the water, water splashed all around. Feeling good? Yes. It made mud. Mud everywhere, mud on the ground, mud on the bushes. Oh, did I lose my sound? We'll try that again. It made mud, mud everywhere, mud on the ground, mud on the bushes, mud on the trees. But you all know some animals like mud, right? Yeah, I heard pigs and elephants and human beings over the age of 7. And I know. In this story, it happens to be the hog family. Hogs love mud. Now, what you may not know is when they see mud, they think someone's having a mud party. Got it? So you know what's going to happen. Yeah. The hogs came over. They rolled in the mud, yelling, party. Now we put all 3 things together 3 times, and with attitude, sophisticated attitude, okay? You can do this. I know. Okay, sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up, Crocs rolled in the water, water splashed all around, hogs rolled in the mud, yelling, party! 2 more. Sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up, Crocs rolled in the water, water splashed all around, hogs rolled in the mud, yelling, party! 1 more. Sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up, Crocs rolled in the water, water splashed all around, hogs rolled in the mud, yelling, party! Woo! I feel good. I hope you do too. Well, in my neighborhood, we just moved in, but people already know if you see yourself, if you're sitting outside and you're sitting in your lawn chair, they just come and bring their lawn chairs. Maybe a cocktail or 2 as well. That's what happened. All the animals came. They all started rolling in the mud, yelling, party, having a good time. But Lion, thank goodness for Lion, king of the jungle, because he realized what was going on. He knew that the sky was pulling away from the earth, and he realized the people were losing their connection to the ancestors. So Lion roared, stop, and the animals stopped. And that's when they saw the problem. Now, when you have a problem, to find your solution, you use your brain, head, noggin, noodle, thinking cap, imagination, yes. So the animals decided to think. They thought high, and they thought low. I can do it higher. I think you can too. They thought high, they thought low. You ready? They thought high, and they thought low. Now you would think all that thinking would come up with an answer, the animals would, but no, they did not. But someone did. Little old grandmother spider. She came beside the animals who were thinking. She said, "Excuse me, I think I can help." They said, "Grandmother Spider, you can't help. You're puny. You got wobbly legs. You got knobby knees. You got a pinhead." Oh, it gets worse. They said, "Grandmother Spider, no disrespect, but you old." It gets worse. They said, "Grandmother Spider, this is a man's job and you're a woman." Oh, no, she didn't. You know something? Grandmother Spider knew she was puny. She knew she had wobbly legs. She knew she had knobby knees, a pinhead. She knew she was old. Is there anything wrong with being old? I just had to make sure I listened carefully to make sure. No, of course not. And there's nothing wrong with being a woman. Grandmother Spider knew that. She ignored them. She went to where the sky was pulling away from the earth. She reached within herself and spun a long, thin, silvery web. And she threw that web up to the sky, but unfortunately it was too short and it fell to the ground. But I know you know she was not giving up, right? Of course not. Another long, thin, silvery web, she threw it. It was also too short. But no, she was not giving up. She reached down and picked up those two webs, tied them together, spun them around her pinhead, and with all her might she threw. And the edge of that web hit and stuck to the sky. Grandmother Spider now had a journey to do. And she started a journey on those wobbly legs and those knobby knees up that web, dragging another web behind her. And when she got up to the sky, she took a nap. She's old. It's okay. It's okay. Over 45, you know what I mean. And when she woke up refreshed, she came down that web again, dragging another web behind her. And by resting and spinning and resting and spinning, Grandmother Spider stitched the earth and the sky right where it is to this day. Yes, and when the animals saw what she had done, they said, "Oh, Grandmother Spider, you go, girl." Yeah. And that dance they were doing, they gave it a name. They called it the Grandmother Spider Boogie Down with Your Bad Self dance. They did. And I have some volunteers over here who are going to come up and help me do that. Come on. Come on. You know who you are. Come on. You have to go around here. The stairs over there. Yay! What's your middle school?
Colonial Heights.
Colonial Heights, from what city?
Kingsport.
This is Colonial Heights Middle School from Kingsport, Tennessee, right? Scoot up a little bit. Thank you for volunteering. Here we go. You ready? You scared? You need a hug? Who needs a hug? Oh. Anybody else scared? I didn't think so. All right, here we go. The Grandmother Spider Boogie Down with Your Bad Self dance. The sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up, crocs rolled in the water, water splashed all around, hogs rolled in the mud, yelling, "Party!" How you doing back there? You good? Okay. Sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up, crocs rolled in the water, water splashed all around, hogs rolled in the mud, yelling, "Party!" Good. One more. Sky chips came down, dirt and chips went up, crocs rolled in the water, water splashed all around, hogs rolled in the mud, yelling, "Party!" Now I have one more thing to tell you. Grandmother Spider wasn't done. She spun one more web, the longest she had ever made, and she tied it to the hearts and the minds of all of us. And the other end of that web she tied to the memories of our ancestors. So no matter where we go or what we do or how high the sky, we are connected to them. We tell their stories. We pass along their histories, and we try not to make the same mistakes those before us made. Now, Grandmother Spider is not here with us anymore. She went to live in the sky. But I think she'd be happy to know that we are still doing the Grandmother Spider Boogie Down with Your Bad Self dance. Thank you. Take a bow. Take a bow. You may go back. Thank you. They are the future stars of America. There's a very very famous, well-known story from Eastern Africa that I think contributes to why I just celebrated my 35th wedding anniversary. So proud. And if you met my husband, you would understand. There was a king who had everything that money could buy. A beautiful kingdom, plenty of palaces, lots of land, money, everything. But there was one thing missing from his life, something that I believe money cannot buy, and that was a wife. And so he decided to put aside his kingly duties, 24/7, a big job, and go out and find a suitable bride. As soon as he saw her, he fell in love. Y'all know what that feels like. Okay, you may have forgotten, but you did have it. But she said, I want to get to know you first, right? Yes. And he said, fine, I will stop my job and focus on you. And he did. The days turned into weeks, the weeks turned into months, and then she fell in love with him. At the wedding, everyone agreed they were the perfect couple. She was beautiful. She had smooth, shiny brown skin. She had eyes that glowed. And when she smiled, anyone who was around her could not help but smile with her. Now the king, he was tall, but not too tall, just the right height. He had a little trimmed beard and mustache, perfectly trimmed. He had thick biceps, a washboard stomach, long, thick thighs, and his butt, well, okay. I'm describing my husband now. So. Let's just say he was sizzling hot. After the wedding, the king brought his new queen home to his palace, the finest of his palaces. He gave her everything that money could buy. He hired servants and maids to take care of her every wish. He gave her clothing and shoes, 35 pairs of shoes. I mean, everything. And then he went back to his 24/7 job of running the kingdom. Now, at first, she was as happy as she could be. This was a joy beyond anything she had ever perceived. She walked around and met everyone and smiled and laughed. You could hear her laughter throughout the halls of the palace. But it didn't last long. She began to moan and weep and cry. Her eyes grew sad. Her skin grew thin and dry. She started watching television. Desperate Housewives. Housewives of New York, New Jersey, San Francisco, wherever. Dr. Phil. I mean, if all that doesn't depress you, I don't know what will, okay? And the king realized something's wrong with his queen, but he didn't know. He was too busy working. But he heard about a woman in his kingdom, the same age as his new bride. But that woman had been married for many years. But everyone talked about how happy she was and lovely and how she had not changed from the day she had married, even though she had married a humble farmer. The king summoned that farmer to his palace. What is it? What is it you are doing for your wife? I have done everything for my queen. I have given her everything, and she messed up. The farmer bowed. Your Highness, there is no secret. I merely give my wife tongue. Some of you forgot about that. Some of you don't know yet. Tongue, said the king. Aha, you are dismissed. Royal chef, come here. My wife shall have tongue meat morning, noon, and night. The finest tongue meat in the land. And that's what happened. The wife, the queen, she was served tongue for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. She had rhinoceros tongue and eggs, giraffe tongue and grits, beef tongue stew, hog tongue roast, and my personal favorite, chicken tongue pot pie. I mean, think about it. How many chicken tongues does it take to make a pot pie? Now, I don't need to tell you that queen became more depressed and depressing after that, right? And the king decided that he didn't want her anymore. So he decided, he called the farmer back and he said, you lied to me. I gave my wife tongue and she's still messed up. For your insubordination, you shall exchange wives with me. I'm told kings could do that in Eastern Africa. I don't know. And the farmer had no choice. He brought his wife to live in the palace, and he took the depressed and depressing queen home. Now, when she got home to his farm, well, it was a small farm, and that meant she had a lot to do to help out. She had to cook, and she had to clean, and she had to tend to some of the small farm animals while the husband went out onto the farmland. But you know what? She didn't mind one bit, because every evening when her farmer husband came home, well, he talked to her and with her while she finished preparing dinner. And when they sat down to dinner, they didn't sit at a long table with a gigantic candelabra in the middle. No, they sat at a small wooden table, side by side, thighs touching. It's been a while. And after dinner, they would do the dishes together. Are you listening? And then they would go out and walk through the woods, and they would sing, and they would talk, and they would laugh. And every night, before they went to bed, they would lift their humble wooden glasses in toast to each other, to the strange world that had brought them together, but the world they were determined to make good. Meanwhile, the new queen, she didn't last long. She was messed up pretty soon, faster than the original queen. And the king just didn't understand it, and he didn't know what to do, so he decided that he wanted his old queen back. You know what it's called, make new queens but keep the old. One is silver but the other's gold. You've heard of that. He sent a servant down to the farmer's house to get his queen back, and she said, I don't think so. She had attitude too. So the king decided to go down and see for himself and get her himself. He got on his horse, and it was a high horse. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. You knew that. You knew that. And before he got to her house, he could hear her laughing. He had planned to bust into the door, but when he heard her laugh, he looked in the window, and he saw the woman that he had originally fallen in love with. And he went to the door, and he knocked. And when she opened the door, he fell to his knees. I don't understand. What is it that this farmer has done for you? And she told him about their life, and she told him about how much she had to work. And she told them about how they spent the evenings and the dinners. And that's when the king understood the meaning of tongue. You can serve it with eggs or with grits or with fries. You can make it into a roast or a stew or even a pot pie. But the kind of tongue that will work its magic the best and the most is not served on a platter, but shared like a loving toast. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.